Hello. Thank you for joining us for another episode of How to Run for Office. I am Lisa Lehman. I'm the 17th Ward Democratic Committee Chair, and joining me today is Max Ruckdeschel, who is the chair of the Onondaga County Democratic Party and also newly elected DeWitt Town Supervisor. Congratulations.
Thank you, and thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. I'm wondering if you could start us off by talking a little bit. We're going to focus in this video about working within the Democratic Party, going through the designation process and a little bit beyond that. But wondering if you could start us off at the beginning with letters of intent and talk about what they are and why we ask for them.
Yes, the real first official step in the process for running for office with the Onondaga County Democratic Committee is to submit a letter of intent that goes to the committee chair, which is myself, and then I will share that with the rest of the executive committee and town and ward chairs that are responsible for wherever that district is. A letter of intent, it can be very basic. Uh, Literally, from some candidates, what we get is my name is Joe Smith, and I'm interested in running for county legislature, District 5. And okay, that's a letter of intent, and then we'll follow up. And sometimes they can be a full manifesto of what somebody's platform and their experience is. Often people will include a cover letter and a resume as well, which can be very helpful for new candidates for the committee to get to know them. But that is what we do. We get those letters of intent and then we get them to all of our chairs and committees and let them know who's running.
And that happens really early in the process, right? I think a lot of people maybe don't realize that if you're running for office, even one of the smaller seats, you start as early as the very beginning of January, right? Is that, do we have the deadline yet for when
We
those
don't,
need to be in?
yes, we don't have an exact date yet, but it comes right around January 1st. Uh, our calendar is dictated by New York State election law, and it has certain dates that have to happen. So the first day to pass petitions, which is how most candidates get on the ballot, is the last Tuesday in February. So we have to determine who the designated Onondaga County Democratic candidates will be before February 24th in enough time to be able to print petitions and distribute them for people to start passing them. And that process used to take a couple months, 2 to 3 months. And we've had to shorten that down to less than 2 months so that we're really not starting during the holidays and Thanksgiving and December. So we push it back, the start of that process as late as we can to around January 1st. And then we give in that time, between January 1st and February 24th this year, time for our candidates to interview with town and ward committees, time for them to call committee members, interview with committee members, and then to have committee members vote if there's a contested race on who the committee designated candidate will be.
Okay, and we'll talk in a little bit more detail about what that process is
Mhm.
for the designation. But before we do, can you just talk about what is the designation? So what does it mean to have the designation?
Yeah, very much. So the designation really just means that you are endorsed by the Onondaga County Democratic Party, and then we commit to helping those candidates get on the ballot and then get elected in a primary, if there is a primary, or into November if there's no other Democrat running.
Okay. And frequently there are primaries, right? And that is part of the process too, because in the end, the people choose our candidates. But
Yes.
this process helps us make a recommendation to the public and offer some support, right?
Yes, that's really the purpose of the designation. I know sometimes it gets a little confused and confusing because there will be multiple candidates and you can't have primaries. I've never really looked at the designation's purpose as being picking a candidate who will win a primary. It's a candidate whom the committee members in that district think is the best candidate from hopefully getting to know them one-on-one and being able to talk about their platform and who they think would win in November. Sometimes that lines up if there is a primary and the designated candidate wins the most votes in a primary, moves on to November, and sometimes it doesn't line up, and we move on and support the primary winner going forward into November. The ultimate goal of the Onondaga County Democratic Committee is to get Democrats elected in November. So that ultimately becomes our goal.
Okay. And then, so thinking of this from the perspective of a candidate, the first thing they would do
Mhm.
is write that letter of intent. And then what does that unlock for them? What do they get once they've put in that letter of intent?
So once a candidate puts in a letter of intent, we give them all of the contact information for the town and ward chairs that would apply to their district, the area that they're running. It's best for them to contact those town and ward chairs and reach out about interviewing with the committee members that will then have a vote and a voice in who the committee chooses. And we do it very specifically based on each district. So if someone is deciding to run for Onondaga County Legislature District 2,
Mhm.
which is part of the town of Clay, it will only be the committee members that represent that district that would have a say in who is the committee designated candidate. It's not the whole town of Clay committee. It's not the whole Onondaga County committee. It's just those committee members that represent that district. Now, that's not necessarily the committee members who live in that district. Unfortunately, the way our rules are set up in New York State law right now, we can only have two committee members that represent each election district. And oftentimes, there are more than two committee members who live in an individual election district. And so those committee members end up representing other election districts than the one they live in. Sometimes that can mean that they're representing, especially with the county legislature, uh, a different legislature district than the one they live in. It does happen fairly frequently. I myself have never actually represented, even though I'm chair of the county committee, I've never represented the election district that I live in the last 20 years.
And
Um,
and I will note you are a former member of the 17th Ward. We have people everywhere.
yes, very much so. And DeWitt and the 17th Ward have long had people from both sides of the border that have. We currently have someone who lives in the 17th Ward. Actually, two people that live in the 17th Ward that serve on the DeWitt committee.
Oh.
So it happens frequently. So yeah, so those people will vote. Those people will determine who the candidate is. We find that out at our designation meeting, which happens usually around mid-February, before that February 24th deadline. And then for those candidates that are designated, what they get is our committee members will go out and collect petitions, signatures to help get them on the ballot. Now, that doesn't free a candidate from the responsibility of working to get themselves on the ballot as well. But in most parts of Onondaga County, it goes a long way to fulfilling the signature requirements and getting them on the ballot.
And for you out there, we will have a separate video with Dustin Zarney, who is the Democratic Elections Commissioner, to talk about more of the details about what it takes to get on the ballot. But for now, what you need to know is that there is that process you'll have to do. And if you get the designation, the committee will actively help you with that. So returning from the perspective of a candidate, again, back to, so they put in the letter, they've gotten these resources, they can begin to call people and make their case. And then they will get invited to candidate interviews. So I know that in the 17th Ward, we host candidate interviews and we invite people. They get a little bit of time to talk about themselves and take questions. And we ask tough questions in 17. I'm sure it's true elsewhere. It's a chance to really practice an early election before the election in some ways, right?
Oh, absolutely. I actually tell people, one of my favorite parts of the designation process is that for new candidates, it is the best training that you can get for giving your case and presenting your case to voters, because committee members are usually some of the most interested and some of the most knowledgeable community members that are out there. They will ask great questions. They are really interested. They know the topics, and they will follow up with you. And oftentimes they'll know more about the topic than you do, which will give you, as a new candidate, homework to go find out. It's like, oh, wow, that's an issue here. I don't really know
Yep.
about that. I need to go find some more out about that before I go and talk to the public in general. So that is a real benefit of our designation process. Yes, I know the
Mhm.
17th ward, especially. I've interviewed as a candidate before the 17th ward. I have been a 17th ward member and interviewed other candidates. I would say it's one of the toughest interview rooms in the county, but it's a really great crucible to develop good
And
candidates.
and not I don't want to lay down too much intimidation here. Often it's advice too. These are people who've worked on campaigns, they've run campaigns. Often we have elected officials too, and they will sometimes give advice and say, hey, you've got to reach out to these people, or you need to know this specific thing. So we're not mean, we don't bite.
No, absolutely. Yeah, it's the goal is to develop better candidates, absolutely, through the interview process, along with the towns and wards that will do individual interviews for larger races, whether they be countywide races or citywide races. OCDC itself usually will host one or two interviews that are open to anybody on the county committee to come and hear candidates as well.
And then, so my next question is, are there races coming up? I know that we just had some big wins, and it's a good feeling to kind of rest on laurels for just a moment. But we have a lot of races on the ballot coming up in the fall, including some we just won. I think the entire legislature will be up. A lot of people on the ballot. Are there any races that the Democratic Party is right now actively recruiting candidates for?
Yeah, so we do have one New York State Assembly seat in Onondaga County that is not represented by a Democrat. It's
Mhm.
currently represented by John Lamondez. The story going around is that Lamondez is planning on running for Congress and not running for re-election to his seat in the Assembly. So
Mhm.
that may be an open seat this year, and we are actively looking for a good candidate to run in that seat. It does go beyond Onondaga County; it covers part of Cayuga County as well. But the balance of the district is now in Onondaga County, and we're hoping to find a candidate from Onondaga County to run there. We also have a majority,
Yes.
very excitingly, on the county legislature. But we still only have 10 of 17 seats. And so there are seven other seats out there. And we are excited to hopefully be able to find candidates in most, if not all, of those seats. I've already heard from people that are interested in running for two or three of those seats,
Oh,
but
very
we
nice.
are actively looking for more.
Great. Okay. And then what general advice would you give to someone who's thinking about running for office for the first time? What makes someone a good candidate?
So, kind of two questions there, and I'll start with the second one. What makes somebody a good candidate? It really, political experience is not the number one thing that makes someone a good candidate. It's community involvement. Uh, Somebody that is actively well known in the community, that's actively involved in the community, whether it be through a library board, a church board of trustees or group or volunteering, a school district. It doesn't even need to be a school board member. It could just be somebody actively involved in the parent teacher organization for their school. Uh, Volunteering, community involvement, and name recognition, not necessarily from a political standpoint, but just from a friends and family and community standpoint, really go a long way towards showing people that you're actively involved, they know you, and you'll help make good decisions for their community. So that's always the number one thing that I'm looking for in a candidate is somebody that's already involved in the community. Um, the best advice that I could give to somebody that's interested in running, one would be to volunteer in your community in another way so that you really get to know your community. But then two, get involved with your local politicians. So the Onondaga County, Democratic Committee is always there. We're always looking for new people, and we would encourage people to sign up and join the committee. But within that, and after that, you can help work on a local campaign. The best way to learn about how to run for office is to help somebody else do it. And you can, whether it be financing, door knocking, petition gathering, you can learn all of those things when it's not necessarily your name on the ballot, and you can help somebody else. And then also attend your local meetings. If you want to run for town board, go to the town board meetings, find out what's going on at the town board. You want to run for county legislature, go to county legislature meetings and see what's going on. I both times when I ran for the school board, I did that, and then when I ran for town board, it's the same thing. I started attending those meetings before I even
Yeah.
signed up to run, so that I would know the issues and I would be able to speak intelligently about what was going on.
All good advice. I'd like you to help me dispel a myth here before we go. And that is, I think some people have this idea that if you come to the committee and you've got a great resume, you're really active in the community, that somehow the Democratic Party is going to run your campaign for you. And there are some things that the Democratic Party does do and offers, and there are some things that the candidate is responsible for, like their own fundraising, getting a treasurer, like all the work of going door to door and stuff like that. Can you speak a little bit about that divide? Like what does the party provide and what does the party expect?
Absolutely. So, really, the number one thing that the party expects is time and commitment. Uh, the party, as you said, does not run your campaign for you. We are an all volunteer outfit. Basically, we do have a paid executive director, um, but that's done on donations that we get
Yeah.
from the community, and uh, so you're going to have to run your own campaign, and we do have some volunteers, and you might be able to find somebody that's going to help you out. But we do candidate trainings, and we have a combined strategy that will give you advice, and we do have access to voter files so that we can help you coordinate who you're targeting, who your audience is. We do have vendors that we've used in the past for whether it's lawn signs or mailings that we can point you toward and then kind of give you the timelines of when you need to do those things. We actually do some printing for candidates in-house, especially when it's small orders. That's our executive director can design things for candidates, can do small print runs for candidates. We also have volunteers that will help stuffing envelopes or helping with mailings. But the broad knocking on doors, I always tell candidates that we expect you to do a lot of that yourself because no one will advocate for you or convince a voter to vote for you better than yourself. It's great to have, especially in get out the vote times, our committee members going door to door and reminding people there's an election, reminding people to vote for you or for other Democrats. But to really win a person's vote, the best thing candidates can do is go knock on that door themselves.
Excellent. All right. Is there anything I'm forgetting? Like anything else you want to say to prospective candidates or people who just want to get more involved?
Uh, I would like to say that if you're at all interested in running for office, even if you don't think it is going to be this year, maybe it's next year, or maybe it's just something you've thought about sometime in the future, but you don't have any real plans, please reach out to the Onondaga County Democratic Committee. We would love to have a conversation with you. We'd love to get you involved in the electoral process, even as a volunteer on somebody else's campaign, even if it's not you running right now, and get involved. And then if you decide to run in the future, we'll be happy to help.
All right. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.